Hello everyone, Kireth here, and I'm going to let you know the assists that I use in Gran Turismo 7 and why I use them. I use these at the highest level of racing Gran Turismo 7 online in the top split daily races against the fastest drivers in the world. I'm going to run through these, let you know why I use them, let you know why you might want to use them, and also let you know why you might not want to use them. Now you've got to understand that when I drive in Gran Turismo 7, I'm using a Fanatec CSL Elite wheelbase with a McLaren V3 GT3 rim. So I'm using a wheel, in other words. I do race sometimes on my DualSense, but I'm not as good as my DualSense. So these settings really, you have to remember that I'm using them in the context of a wheel. So manual gears I find a lot easier on a wheel than on a pad. So if you're driving using a wheel, then I would recommend you really try and use manual gears. When I started sim racing on my Thrustmaster T80, I didn't use manual gears. And the games that I still might not use manual gears are something like, I don't know, Forza Horizon or Need for Speed. But when you're doing something that's got some simulation aspect, you're going to add so much more to experience by using manual gears. So please do try and use manual gears. If you've got that available on a wheel, on a pad, I accept it's harder. Traction control. I don't use traction control the vast majority of the time in Gran Turismo 7. Now, in the top split online races, you can't really get away with using traction control. You're just going to lose too much time. However, I really am not a traction control elitist. I fundamentally believe that if traction control is going to make the experience more enjoyable for you, then go ahead and use it. And this is the kind of example I would give. If you're driving a car and you're finding that car very difficult to drive, that there's maybe a 10% chance every lap that you might spin off, and let's say you're doing a 10-lap race, I would say use traction control. If that traction control is going to mean that you severely reduce the risk of you spinning off, then use it. It's there to be used. Real cars have it. There's no kind of macho glory in not using traction control. It's available, so I don't personally use it most of the time, but I'm also not afraid to use it, and sometimes I will use it, and it's there to be used. That's my thoughts on traction control. ABS. Now, when I was on Forza Motorsport 3, I used to turn ABS off, and it made the game so much more enjoyable to drive offline. Now, online, the fastest way to drive is still with ABS, either default or weak. Now, it's up to you in terms of what preference you want, weak or default. I leave it on default. Some drivers have it on weak. Sometimes I've used it on weak, but I just find default to be the most bulletproof. Personally, I would love it if there were some races in Gran Turismo 7 online that forced everyone to use no ABS. I think that would be amazing. But generally, ABS default, absolutely bulletproof. In Gran Turismo 7, ABS is the fastest way to drive. Driving line assistance, I don't use these, but they're quite helpful. The driving line, corner indicators, they're not cones this time, which some people don't like. I think it's probably a good thing because the cones would get moved around. People would crash into them, and I never used cones, but there we go. Braking indicator. If you don't know your way around the track, use a braking indicator. Again, I'm not an elitist about this. Whatever's going to make the game more enjoyable for you, whatever's going to help you get to speed with the tracks, so it's there to be used. It's quite cool in Gran Turismo 7. It lights up the whole track, so feel free to use that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it in my book. Same braking area. So I got the confused. I was talking about braking area then. The braking indicator isn't that helpful, but the braking area is actually very, very helpful. Right, accessibility management and countersteering. I don't use these. Now, these were a little bit controversial in GT Sport from time to time. I think sometimes they were seen as a little bit OP, actually. I don't use them because I want to have that 100% feel of the car. But again, I'm racing on a wheel. So if you're racing on a pad, there's a lot of people in our community. By the way, 1,700 sim racers in our community, the kirethkart community Discord. Link in the description below if you enjoy the fun. A lot of people on the pad do recommend using countersteering assist. And in fact, I'd be really interested to know, if you drive mainly on a pad, let me know in the comments, do you use countersteering assistance, yes or no? But on a wheel, I don't use it. So these are my assists. This is what I use to kind of take me to glory sometimes in the online races. And it's what I have the most fun in. So if I was going to approach Gran Turismo 7 as a purely single player game, I think, to be honest, I'd remove ABS. And I'd really get into that grind of understanding how the cars handle on the brakes. But because I do a lot of online stuff, ABS is a fast way to drive. So for me, that's the only controversial one. But the rest, TC off most of the time. Don't use these assists unless I need to learn a track, in which case 100% I'll put them on. And I don't use active stability management, and I don't use countersteering assistant. So I hope that's helpful. I do get a lot of questions about what assists I use, and it's not rocket science really. Use whatever you want to use, whatever's going to be most fun for you. That's what I say. You paid the money for the game. You're entitled to use whatever you want to use. That's my view. But I really hope you enjoyed this. Do free to subscribe if you've found it helpful. I would really appreciate it to grow the channel. You guys are massively growing the channel. And otherwise, happy racing. Let us know how you get on. And good luck.